For weeks, one question has hung over the disappearance of Lynette Hooker. What really happened aboard the sailboat Soulmate? Now investigators may be closer than ever to finding answers. In a significant new development, federal agents boarded Soulmate after the vessel was brought into the United States under Coast Guard control. Investigators were seen removing items from the boat, processing potential evidence, and conducting what appeared to be a detailed forensic examination. For the family of Lynette Hooker, this development represents something they have been waiting for since the day she vanished in the Bahamas. For investigators, it could represent an opportunity to gather information from the place many believe holds critical answers. And for everyone following this case, it raises an important question. What exactly were federal agents looking for on that boat? To understand why this latest development matters, we need to go back to the beginning. Lynette Hooker disappeared in the Bahamas under circumstances that immediately drew scrutiny. According to reports, Lynette and her husband Brian Hooker had been living aboard Soulmate, a 46-foot sailboat that served as both transportation and home. The couple had spent years living a boating lifestyle, traveling through coastal waters and documenting portions of their journey. Then everything changed. Authorities say Lynette disappeared after an evening outing near the Bahamas. According to Brian Hooker's account, Lynette fell from a dinghy while the couple was returning to their sailboat. He reportedly told authorities that difficult conditions prevented him from rescuing her. Search efforts began almost immediately. Rescue crews, volunteers, local authorities, and community members spent valuable time searching the surrounding waters. Family members desperately hoped she would be found alive. But as days turned into weeks, questions began to grow. Those questions only intensified when investigators and independent observers started examining details surrounding the timeline. What happened next is important. As public interest in the case increased, attention shifted toward Soulmate itself. The sailboat was more than just a vessel. It was potentially one of the most important locations connected to the investigation. Investigators understand that boats can contain an enormous amount of information. Modern vessels often contain navigation systems, communication equipment, internet connections, electronic logs, battery monitoring systems, GPS records, and surveillance equipment. Even routine activity can leave behind digital traces. Turning on lights, charging devices, connecting phones to onboard internet systems, using navigation equipment. Every action has the potential to generate information. That brings us to the next development. After remaining in the Bahamas for several weeks, Soulmate eventually began a journey toward the United States. Reports indicate that delivery personnel had been hired to move the vessel. Observers tracking marine traffic noticed movement from its previous location. At various points during the trip, marine tracking data reportedly became unavailable or intermittent. That detail attracted attention from people following the case. Then came a major turning point. The United States Coast Guard intercepted Soulmate before it reached its intended destination. Instead of continuing on its planned route, the vessel was escorted into a Coast Guard facility in Florida. Photographs and videos showed the sailboat arriving under Coast Guard supervision. For many observers, this was the first indication that investigators were taking a particularly serious interest in the vessel itself. According to reports, the boat was brought to a secure location where federal authorities could examine it more closely. That examination appears to have begun almost immediately. Visual evidence from the scene showed investigators boarding the vessel and establishing a work area nearby. Boxes, bags, and other materials were reportedly removed from the boat. Agents wearing gloves could be seen handling items that appeared to be collected as evidence. Crime scene tape was reportedly visible around portions of the area. Would that stand out to you? For many people following the case, it certainly did. The presence of federal investigators suggested that authorities believed the vessel contained information worth preserving and examining. And that leads to one of the most important aspects of this story. Investigators do not simply collect evidence for the sake of collecting evidence. Every item gathered has a purpose. Every electronic device can potentially reveal activity. Every storage drive can contain records. Every communication system may preserve information. Every location aboard the vessel can provide context. At this stage, authorities have not publicly disclosed exactly what evidence was collected. That distinction is important. There is a difference between confirmed facts and public speculation. The confirmed fact is that investigators conducted an extensive examination of Soulmate. The unknown is what they found. Now investigators are looking at a variety of possibilities. One area that has generated significant discussion involves onboard electronics. Modern sailboats frequently operate with systems that function much like a small home. Internet access, wireless networks, satellite communications, navigation computers, battery management systems, security equipment. All of these systems can create records. Investigators often use digital information to establish timelines. When did devices connect? When were systems activated? What activity occurred during a particular period? These questions can help investigators verify or challenge witness accounts. Another area of interest involves personal electronic devices. According to reports from family members, Lynette routinely used an Apple Watch. Family members have discussed her habit of charging the device in the evenings. Authorities have not publicly revealed what information may or may not have been recovered from any electronic devices associated with the case. But investigators routinely examine available technology whenever it may help establish a timeline. That is standard procedure in many investigations. Here's where the story takes another turn. Family members have continued to advocate for answers throughout this process. Lynette's loved ones have repeatedly emphasized their desire to learn exactly what happened. They have participated in searches. They have spoken publicly. And they have continued to push for progress in the investigation. For them, every new development matters. Every search, every warrant, every examination, every piece of evidence. Because each step potentially moves the case closer to resolution. According to family members, several personal items worn by Lynette on the day she disappeared remain significant points of interest. Questions remain regarding clothing, personal belongings, and other items that may help establish a more complete picture of her final known movements. Authorities have not publicly addressed many of these details, but family members continue to hope that evidence collected from Soulmate may provide additional clarity. That's a detail many viewers have been discussing, because at the center of every investigative question is the same fundamental issue. Where is Lynette Hooker? Weeks after her disappearance, that question remains unanswered. Search operations have covered extensive areas. Authorities have examined multiple possibilities. Yet the investigation continues. What happened next is important. The involvement of federal investigators may indicate that the case has reached a new stage. Cases involving missing persons often evolve over time. Initial search efforts focus on locating the missing individual. As additional information emerges, investigators may shift toward evidence collection, forensic analysis, and reconstruction of events. The examination of Soulmate appears consistent with that type of progression. Authorities are gathering information. They are documenting evidence. They are preserving material that could become important later. That does not automatically indicate criminal charges are imminent. It simply means investigators are continuing to build a clearer picture of what occurred. And sometimes that process takes time. A considerable amount of time. Forensic examinations can be lengthy. Electronic analysis can require specialized expertise. Records may need to be reviewed. Data may need to be recovered. Information may need to be compared against witness statements. Each step must be completed carefully, particularly in a case receiving significant public attention. Now investigators are looking at what comes next. The evidence collected from Soulmate will likely undergo detailed review. Experts may examine electronic systems. Digital records may be analyzed. Physical evidence may be processed. Investigators may compare findings against existing timelines and statements. Whether those efforts produce major breakthroughs remains unknown, but authorities clearly believe the vessel warranted a thorough examination. That alone makes this a significant development. As the investigation moves forward, several important questions remain. What information, if any, was recovered from the boat? Will forensic testing reveal new details about Lynette's final known movements? Will investigators release additional information about the evidence they collected? And perhaps most importantly, will any of these developments help locate Lynette herself? Those are the questions many people are asking tonight. For Lynette's family, the goal remains unchanged. They want answers. They want accountability if wrongdoing occurred. And they want to know what happened to someone they love. For investigators, the work continues. Evidence is being reviewed. Information is being analyzed. And a case that has generated widespread attention remains active. For everyone watching, the biggest unanswered question is still the same one that existed from the very beginning. What happened to Lynette Hooker? As new information becomes available, we'll continue following every development in this investigation. What do you make of federal agents collecting evidence from Soulmate? Do you believe this examination could produce the breakthrough investigators have been searching for? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you have been following this case and would like updates as new developments emerge, be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you do not miss future coverage.